what we want to talk about today really is, hey, if you've done no planning or little planning, what are 3 to 4 things that you can do now from your house to at least prepare the next caregiver for your child in terms of what to do and how to do it?
Hey everybody, this is Keith Caldwell, and we've got with us Ryan Platt. Introduce yourself, Ryan.
Hey everybody, my name's Ryan Platt. Looking forward to chatting with everybody today. I am a special needs planner, started a company in 2005 called A Special Needs Plan, and so we help provide direction, guidance, and support for families planning for 2 lifetimes.
Thank you, Ryan. My name is Keith. As I said, I'm a parent, just like the rest of you guys, or most of you guys out there. Not a financial planner, not an insurance agent, none of the above. I have no desire to do any of the above, but just a parent trying to learn too.
Yeah, and so, I appreciate everybody coming. And again, I think the coronavirus has brought up a lot of items that we don't normally think about. And it certainly has given us more and more time to think about as we look at just how fragile life can be and how quickly that can change. This webinar, this event we're doing with you today, please, it is not based in fear. It is not based in scare tactics. It is based on educating you and providing you hope in reaching a place where you can feel peace about having direction and a strategy, for the eventuality. Most of us are going to live through Corona, but all of us will die on some moment in some form and some fashion. So those are kind of the things that we're going to talk to, because if you have no plan, and from a legal standpoint, one of the pieces of your plan is called a will. And a will just tells the court system what you want to have happen. What you want to have happen to your assets, who you want to receive them, and what happens to your people. Meaning, who do you want to be the next legal guardian or the next legal type caregiver, support people for your loved one with a disability. And so if you don't have one that you've written yourself, then every state has one for you. It's called their intestate laws. And so your money is going to flow in the way that your state says that they will. Some states say that if you have a parent that's still alive and you die without a will, 50% of your estate goes to your alive parents and 50% goes to your spouse or your children. Some states will say that all your money will go to your spouse. Some states say that money will go to your spouse at 50%. If you have kids, the other 50% goes to your kids. And when we say to your kids, we mean literally directly to your kids. So the issue with our families is that if your child with a disability has benefits and government benefits or may receive them in the future, well, those are going to be their assets. And if those assets are valued at more than $2,000, at least in 2020, how the laws are now, then they're going to lose access or the ability to receive some of those needs-based benefits, like a monthly income from SSI, like Medicaid for healthcare, as well as long-term support and services. So that may be a day program. That may be a support worker that comes every day for a certain number of hours. That might be respite hours. That may be part of your waiver program in your state if your child has or is on that one. So it can be pretty, unfortunately, catastrophic for many of our families if that event did happen and we didn't have those specific things in place. Now, right, so Ryan, thanks a lot for telling me that, but I can't go run out and get a will sitting on my couch in the stay-at-home orders that are almost everywhere in the country. So what do I do then? Well, here are 3 things that you can do from right now from your house, your apartment, your townhouse, your condo. I don't care, wherever you live, in a tent, wherever you are. And so the first step is, that letter of intent. And I know if you've come to our seminars before, you've heard us talk about it. It's the instruction manual for your child for the day that you're no longer here, right? And again, just because of this coronavirus and everything else, again, more and more people are thinking about our own mortality. And so, that letter of intent is such a fantastic document to have completed and share with those next caregivers, that next family member that may be caring for your loved one, so that they can have the information. They know what to do. They know who the physicians are. They know what prescriptions there are. They know what daily life looks like. They know what benefits that they're on. They know how to contact Social Security to make sure that they can become the new representative payee on any of their Social Security benefits. There's an explanation of what Medicaid is, on what a waiver is, on what long-term support and services your child might have or not have yet. There's also pieces in there about what your wishes are for them. What kind of environment would you want them to live in if they're not living with you as they continue to grow into adulthood, or if they're already in adulthood as they start to age? What do you want for them? What's your vision for them? And again, if your child has an ability to communicate that with you, you put in what their wishes are for their own life as well. So you're giving that next person a roadmap, and you can do that right from your computer, right? I know with How to Secure the Future, Keith and I assembled a template that all you have to do is walk through it and be done, right? So that's the first easy step, because it gives somebody a glimpse into your life, and it gives them direction in terms of what to do on a daily basis to ensure your child, your loved one with a diagnosis, is taken care of in the best way possible. The second item that we talk a lot about is beneficiary designations. And I'm going to add a piece to that, and how your other assets are titled. So normally, beneficiary designations are on things like life insurance, items like a retirement plan. So if you have a 401k or an IRA or a Roth IRA or a pension plan, those don't move by your will. So it doesn't even matter if you don't have one, right? That beneficiary designation is the person that's going to receive that asset. So they're going to get it. It doesn't matter if you have a will or you don't have a will. That beneficiary designation supersedes the will, even if you have one. So if most of your assets are going to move by beneficiary designation, this is extremely important. And again, you can go and change these as well. And this is what I'm about to say is going to go against everything you've ever heard me say before.
Oh, no.
I know. So this is, remember, what are we talking about today? Emergency special needs planning. And sometimes in emergency, you have to do things that you wouldn't normally do if you had more time to plan it out. So this next item I'm going to say is never a recommendation that I would give if we have time to get the plan done.
Right.
But in the event of like an emergent situation, like we're in now, where God forbid you can get diagnosed with the coronavirus and be in the hospital 4 days later, what can we do to protect your child's ability to keep their benefits or qualify for them? You're going to take your child's name off of every single one of your beneficiaries. What is that called? What have you heard me call that before? You've heard me call that the disinheritance model, where you are going to rely on someone else's goodness, virtue, and ethical character to do what's right. Because you're going to take your child's name off the beneficiary designation, right? Now, this is to say you do not have a special needs trust in place, right? You don't have anything in place. And you just have, hey, if I die, I want my child to get my money so that they're going to be okay. And you have their name on the beneficiary designation form. Well, again, if that account's more than $2,000, what happens if you die? Goes directly to them, government benefits out the door, right? So they lose those benefits.
It's almost instantaneous. The state finds out that quickly.
Right, they can. And so we just want to make sure that, again, you're not going to hear me say this ever again, probably, is to take their name off the beneficiary designation line and put that other person in there that you trust implicitly. And then call that person and tell them what you did. And say, for now, here's what I've done. But I've realized that I need to get this planning completed. So as long as everything goes all right and our stay-at-home orders get lifted, that's one of the first things I'm doing is getting this plan done. Right? But for now, to protect my child, I'm going to trust you implicitly. And I'm putting you to receive all of my money so that you then are going to have to do the planning that I never did, which is what you're doing. You're laying it in their lap. But again, this is emergency planning, right? You haven't done it yet. So therefore, if you're gone, somebody else is going to have to. But you got to tell them that they're going to have to, because they're not going to know. They won't know because they don't live in your world.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to tell them, hey, I'm changing my beneficiary, everything to you. You're going to get every asset that I have. I want you to use it for my child's best interest. And I didn't do a plan. You're just going to have to own up to it. I mean, I don't know any other word to say and say, you're going to have to do it. But, why don't you go to, here's a couple websites, go to howtosecurethefuture.com, reach out to those guys and they'll probably be able to help you. That's just what you have to do at this point. The other pieces of that, I said different assets registration. And this comes into play of, hey, whether you have a will or you don't have a will, this is what happens to accounts such as your checking account, a savings account. Maybe you have an investment account. And they're all owned by you as an individual. And you pass away. Those accounts now don't have an owner because you're dead. And if that registration, what they call it, is only in your name, then no one can access that account because it basically gets locked up by the court system until your assets go through what's called probate and go through the estate process so the court can release the money to whoever you want it to be released to in your will, or whoever it's going to be released to in the intestate laws of your state, because you didn't write a will and you just have to take the template that the state gives everybody. So now, what happens? Into
consideration any of your wishes.
Yeah, they don't care about your wishes. And so what happens? That means that the support people that you want to take care of your child doesn't have any money to do it with. Because even if you have money in those accounts, it's locked up. They can't use it. You're dead. They have no authority to use it whatsoever. So now they're pulling out of their pocket to take care of your child, hopefully getting that money at some point in the future. Maybe. But maybe you have creditors who are going to come out of the woodwork and say, whoa, you got to pay off your mortgage first. Or you got to pay off your credit card first before this person gets that money, right? That's what happens when it goes through probate, right? Creditors come in and say, well, I get mine first before it goes to anybody else to use. Same idea. Let's say you have a joint account, right? Let's say you're married or you're older and maybe you are divorced or widowed or widower, right? And you're the only one with the money. Well, you could, if you trust someone, make them a joint owner, right? A lot of times spouses, husband and wives, are joint owners, right? So they own a checking account jointly. So if one dies, the other one automatically becomes the owner and continue to use it. Sometimes you might be older, and if you're a widow or widower, you might be the only account holder, right? And you may have a younger child who is an adult child, right? Maybe they're 50 or 45. You could add them as a joint owner on your individual account. And then if you die, they can take over and start using it to help, again, keep things fluid.
Now, I want to add don't lose your thought, but I want to make sure that everyone's understanding the advice we're giving today, or Ryan's giving today, is based on emergency planning. This is not the proper long-term planning, because and one of the questions I think you would still even have to ask, even in this circumstance, is if you're going to put someone down as the beneficiary on something, they're going to get all your money. If they're going through a divorce, that may not be a good thing, because the spouse might get that. If they've got creditors, and that's why it gets so complicated. It's not as simple as that, but we wanted to give you some ideas about emergency planning, but you still have to be diligent while you can. A lot of people are asking for, I'm going to pull it up now, how you get access to the letter of templates. And Graylin, not doing your letter of intent, I'm slapping you in your hand. You've had that for a while. So we're going to pull up for you, and we've never done this before. For $1, you're able to get the letter of intent for a 14-day trial to walk you through it. As part of that, we have action webinars that'll walk you through the process, step by step, how to complete it. It's something you can be doing right now while you're at home to complete it. It's hard work, but it'll give the next caregiver the action steps, the instruction manual about what happens, where to go, who to talk to. Put this website, within that document, so that they could come to us if something, God forbid, happens to you, and we can steer them in the right direction by connecting them with professionals, whatever. That's part of what we want to make sure that we include, is that you guys have us as a resource. God forbid that something doesn't happen to us, but we even have backups for that as well. So that's why we wanted to let you guys know about that. And we had the webinar because I was fearful for myself, for my family, and I figured there might be other ones out there as well. So let me pull up the offer. You guys can get it. It's for $1 if you're interested in it. You'll immediately get the links, access to it. It's fill in the blanks. Go, and there you go. So you'll see it now. There we go. And go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's great. And so I guess what I was trying to get to was, we talk about beneficiary designations on IRAs, life insurance, retirement plans, 401ks. Well, you can also make your checking accounts, your savings accounts, your investment accounts move by a beneficiary. So it avoids going through your will. It avoids going through intestate laws if you didn't do a will yet. So you can call your bank, call your financial institution and say, hey, I want to change the registration on my account to what's called TOD, that stands for transfer on death, or POD, payable on death. And what that does is that makes a non-beneficiary account, like a checking account, like a savings account, like an investment account, it makes it a beneficiary account. So now if you have a checking account or a savings account that you change the registration from just your name on it, or even if it's just a joint account with maybe 2 spouses on it, you can change the registration to individual with TOD, right? So you're on it, you make all the decisions while you're alive, but when you die, that automatically goes to that person on the beneficiary line, just like life insurance does, just like retirement plans do. So it avoids going through those intestate laws or going through your will or probate. So it goes directly to that person and they can start using it right away.
I did not know that. That's very helpful.
It's unbelievable. And nobody talks about it, right? Nobody probably shared that with you before. You went and set up your checking account. Nobody even asked you for that one, right? And if they did, man, you got a good person at the bank that you bank with. So But if not, that's a huge one that you can call and you can do. And usually, and nowadays, it's getting a little bit easier to do things online because people realize, like, okay, you can't come into the bank to sign the papers, so maybe we can figure out a way to get it done. And so that's a huge one that you can do. So you can basically make any account just about that you have money in, you can make it a beneficiary account. So if you don't have a will, you can avoid your money being frozen, and you can avoid the issues of it going through the court system if something happens to you, right? So again, right? Hopeful. That's hopeful.
Right.
But you got to take the action step, guys and gals, women, men, whatever. You know, I use guys for everything. Brother, guys, I'm always using a man, dude, you know, sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. But, you know, that's an easy one. It's hopeful. You can do it. You just got to call the bank or your financial institution or investment, wherever your money is. Call them up and ask them. Registration on my account. TOD, POD. The third one that now you can do, almost all the companies that we work with, because as Keith said, you know, he's not a financial planner or things like that. I'm licensed in that way. That's kind of how we came to do this. Is the third thing is, you know, and Keith and I will do a whole session on this. We never have before, but we decided we're going to, but we wanted to do this one first because it's more topical, is, you know, if you're not sure how much money your child needs for their lifetime, you're not alone. You're not alone. A lot of people don't because they haven't done the planning yet. They haven't figured it out yet. So in order for them to have enough, the third step is buy some life insurance. You can apply for that online. You know, you can contact us at How to Secure the Future, right? Mm-hmm. We can guide you through looking at what makes the most amount of sense. But hey, for emergency purposes, you can apply for a 10-year term life insurance policy online for probably, you know, I don't care, get whatever amount you want. 250 grand, 500 grand, whatever. And a lot of times with what's going on in the world as we know it right now, you know, life insurance companies, many of them are not even making you do like what we call a mini medical exam, right? Where a nurse comes out to the house, takes blood from you, urine sample, asks you a bunch of questions, right? Because of everything that's going on, a lot of insurance companies said, okay, we have to go to a different look for that. We have to, you know, make decisions in a different way. So they not even necessarily having to do that, right? They might look at your medical records and then make a decision. And all of a sudden, again, from your couch, you may be able to get some life insurance that then helps to fund your child's lifetime needs. So now what have you done? You've gotten a letter of intent. So now your next caregiver knows what to do. Number two, you've changed beneficiary designations. You've changed registrations on accounts to a beneficiary designation account to avoid it going through the court system. You've notified that person that you're going to put on the beneficiary designation line. And in that way, you've protected your child's government benefits or future qualification for them. Number three, now you have money because you've applied for life insurance, gotten approved, sitting on your couch. And now your child actually has money that the next caregiver can help provide the care with. Look at everything you did from your couch that you can do in an emergency situation. Holy mackerel. Are you kidding? Right? I mean, that's awesome. Lean on us for guidance. That's what we're here for. Lean on us for support. That's why Keith and I do these. It's not just to tell you so you hang up and you go back to doing what you were doing at 1:30 or whatever time you're watching this. Right? These are steps that you can take that we're happy to support you through. And How to Secure the Future has the pieces to it. And the ... bonus number 4 thing you can do is get ready for the stay-at-home order to be done. What do we mean? figure out how to find a professional that specializes, especially on the legal side, in special needs planning. Because what you want to do, if you do step 1, 2, and 3, what's one thing that Keith and I are going to tell you to do? You need to change that beneficiary as quickly as you possibly can on all those accounts to really protect your child. And what do you change it to? You change it to a properly designed and drafted special needs trust by a qualified special needs attorney who does it all the time. But you need to have it in place before you put it on the beneficiary line. Don't put it on there now because it doesn't exist. Can't do that. So number 4, the bonus number 4 that you can't do from your couch, but you can do quickly thereafter, because most of us are going to be alive when this is over, right? Again, hopeful. And we have a great piece to that. And again, this isn't, please don't think this is a sales pitch. It's not. But Keith and I have thought about this stuff. We think about it all the time. Is we have a segment on how to secure the future about how to find qualified professionals. So what can you do from your couch? You can figure out your game plan of how you're going to find that attorney. You're going to have questions to ask the attorney and answers that they should be able to give you right from how to secure the future. So what can you do from your couch? You can call all these attorneys' offices in your area, right? Google special needs attorneys, Sacramento, California. Google special needs attorneys, Phoenix, Arizona. Google special needs attorneys, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Wherever you live, Google that term, get the list, make phone calls, ask them the questions that we give you and how to find these professionals that know what the heck they're doing. Know the answers, because we give you the cheat sheet of the answers to the questions that they should be able to answer. And if they can answer them, book an appointment for when this is over. Or, you know what is also awesome right now? So many attorneys are starting the process over the phone. So they can start getting the documents done for you. And you might even be able to get the documents done through DocuSign and through mailing things back and forth while this is going on. The world is changing because of the coronavirus. We need to figure out ways to get business done and to get services done for people. So professionals are figuring that out. And you can do all this sitting on the couch. Turn off Hulu, turn off Netflix, turn off Disney Plus, pick up the phone, Google, get the how to secure the future whole thing. You have it for 14 days. If you cancel it, you cancel it. We don't care. You got the information you needed. We hope you don't, because it's going to be awesome and useful information, not only for you, but for the next caregiver, because you are going to die one day and they have no idea what they're doing either.
You know, I want to add a few things because we talked about it, but you didn't bring it up here. That's super important. So even when you're talking to these other attorneys, ask for referrals, references, and call those people too. So if this person's a special needs planning attorney, he should be able to give you 3 or 4 names of people who are satisfied customers. Call them, ask them some questions that you might have, because that's also part of the process. Do not just say, I'm going to go with the cheapest persons out there, because he may not be the person. If they don't know the answers to these questions, and we give you the answers in the course, you have the letter of intent, you have access to everything on our website. It has all the special needs trust, how to change the beneficiary designation, has a special needs trust, ins and outs, has the questions to ask, the questions to answer. So we made it just easy for you to do, because I was so worried that people weren't going to be able to get this done. Now, obviously, we don't want you to cancel, but you know, if that's your situation, you got to do what you need to do to protect your family. It's important for Ryan and I that you guys get this done. It's that important to us. Now, the other thing that we also changed slightly, and for anyone who's already bought the course, don't worry, this is in effect. You guys are forever grandfathered in. But we thought about it. We said part of what you guys need is the next level, because at one point it's not going to be you, Donna, or you, Graylin, who's here. It's going to be the next caregiver who's going to be like, oh my God, that person's gone. What do I do? Right? So as part of this, you're going to be able to put our names down, and this person's going to be able to come in here. And Ryan has committed today, I've had him commit to me earlier, that he's going to put together a, oh crap, I'm up now. What do I need to do? Some kind of documentation, a webinar, some information you could link this new caregiver to say, okay, I'm up. The primary caregiver is gone. It's my turn to be the primary caregiver. I don't even know where to go. I don't know what IEPs mean. I don't know what government benefits there are. I don't know what's available. I don't know how to protect them. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to include in there, is that we thought about, is that we need to have an annual, at least like a set December, January connection where we say, okay, let's regroup. Let's see what needs to be done, what needs to be tweaked. Has someone got married? Has someone got divorced? Has someone died? Has someone moved away? Has circumstances changed? Has whatever, so that on an annual basis, we're updating your plan to make sure it's reflective of current events. So those are the things that we added to this. So that's why there is an annual fee as opposed to a one-time fee, because we can't provide that service for indefinite without doing it. So look at it sort of like insurance. Eventually, the insurance is going to pay. That eventually, unfortunately, we're all going to pass. So we wanted to have something in place that the next caregivers to have resources and access. And the other thing we're committed to do is update the webinars or the website to be inclusive of changing circumstances. CoronaVirus is one of them. This is something none of us had ever conceived of. So how it all plays out, like last webinar we talked about, you're going to get these big checks. And these checks are going to be income. And what can you possibly do? We gave you some ideas about those kinds of things in the past. So those are the kinds of discussions we'll be able to have in our back end of the website that's going to be helpful for you as well as helpful for the next caregiver. So that's why we set it up in the 2 tiers like that. So hopefully you'll consider doing both of them, the letter of intent as well as a full-blown course. You'll get everything in the email within a few minutes, and you can check it out. And I'll also send everybody a link to it afterwards. So anyhow, Ryan, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, I mean, no, you did. I mean, again, we didn't want to give you too many things today. We wanted to give you some simple steps, right? So we kind of gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, letter of intent, beneficiary designations, change registrations on your accounts to be a beneficiary designation account, buy life insurance, and start figuring out who you're going to use to get that special needs trust done, right? Find that professional. You can do all those things now without leaving your house. I mean, awesome. Grab onto that and enjoy it. The other piece that I did was want to touch on, because this changed 17 hours ago. Well, probably 22 hours ago. And it goes back to what Keith just mentioned, the stimulus checks, right? As we're learning more about that program, right? It was first just going to be for, certain people that were under a certain level of income. And then if you receive Social Security retirement, Social Security disability income, or survivor benefits, and you were underneath that income limit, you were going to get a check. What's left out of those 3 of a governmental benefit? SSI, right? SSI was left out, supplemental security income. What do so many individuals who have a diagnosis, who turn 18 years old, whose parents haven't retired yet, and whose parents are not disabled, and whose parents are alive, what do they receive? They receive SSI. They don't receive Social Security retirement. They don't receive Social Security disability income. They don't receive survivor benefits. What was not included in that stimulus check? SSI. As of 22 hours ago, what is included? Anybody on SSI is getting the check. Anybody with SSI is getting the check. Watch for it. I just got an email yesterday from a family we've been serving for years. She said, hey, Joe just got an extra $1,200 in his account. It's over $2,000. What the heck do I do? I know we talked about this during our last, during a quick video that we did, kind of in between our webinar, our monthly webinars. But I just want to bring it up now because it's happening and we know it. Again, 2 things you can do in an emergency situation to get that money out of your child's account. if that's the situation, it bumps them over $2,000. One, if you have an ABLE account started, or even if you don't, go open an ABLE account. Again, how do you do that, Keith? Do you have to go anywhere?
Mm-mm.
You can do it right from where?
From home.
From home. You can get that open. You can transfer money, link the account, boom, done. No problems, right? One, open the ABLE account. The money's coming, okay? The money is coming. Open the ABLE account. If you have one in your state, open in your state, right? It's just simple, simpler that way. Okay, great. Get it over there, be done. If you can't get the ABLE account open fast enough, you got to go spend the money. Does your child need a new computer? Do they need a new tablet? Do they need a new phone? Do they use those? Do they need some type of communication device that they use? Do they need hearing aids? Do they need glasses? Do they need contacts? Do they need a pair of shoes? Do they need a new mattress? If you're in that situation, we can't get the ABLE account open fast enough to get the money in it. Look at what your child may need or what they may need in the next few months and go buy it ahead of time. And get that account back down over $2,000. It's going to happen. Please be on the lookout for it. Check the account. Know how much is in it for your child and watch it.
Well, because that brings up a good question, Ryan. I mean, if someone gets disqualified, and I did put the offer back up for everybody who's still looking for it, and toward the bottom of the page, you could upgrade for the $2 more. Anyhow, but if someone gets disqualified from the government benefits, they have to reapply, right? So it's not as simple as, oh, we're down below 2,000. Can I get my check next week? It's like, oh, you're disqualified, reapply, and we'll see if you qualify. Right? Yeah.
So then you don't have to go through the entire reapplication process where they look at diagnosis and everything else, but you do have to do the rigmarole of qualifying financially again. And so it's not just calling, but it's verification. It's going through a few steps. It's going through authorization. It's going through getting approved, and getting that check started again. So it's certainly, it could take time, and you could lose a few months of benefits. So just, again, remember, if we think ahead, it's easy to avoid. Right. And you're not stressed out and freaked out and nervous and anxious and going bananas, right? Hey, it hasn't happened yet. Get off this call when we're done. Look up ABLE account in California, ABLE account in Ohio, whatever, and just go through the steps to open the account.
And just get it done.
I mean, it shouldn't take you more than 30 minutes.
Well, I just recently started mine a while ago. The hard part was all the legal documentation. They wanted proof of me, proof of this, proof of that. It was sort of a hassle, but I got it done. So hopefully you already got it done. We asked you guys to do that a couple months back.
Right. But if not, it's a little bit of a process. It's not like opening an investment account, right? You need birth certificates, or you need different documentation to get it rolling. So, yeah.
Right. Ryan, we got some questions here. So let's see here. And we got people from all over the place. A lot from North Carolina as usual. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I was not looking at here. Kim says, I was always scared to have my son as a beneficiary and have his twin sister who is aware of what she will need to do in the event of my death. And my sister's also aware. I'm still working on my son's special needs trust. Okay, that was just a statement. One of the things, if you guys decide to upgrade for the extra $2, we have in there is a guardian selection tool, which is so helpful. It was for me. It is a way for you to quantify who would be a good next caregiver. You think that Johnny would be a good next caregiver, but then when you start doing this little qualitative kind of thing, you realize, well, maybe they wouldn't be. They've never had kids, so they're maybe a little bit more selfish. They may not understand that when you have a child, the child almost always comes first. I think parents recognize that. But someone who's never had a child may be a little bit, I say that because, my brother and I was considering that. I go, oh, no, he'd be terrible. So anyhow, we've got a lot of tools in there. We've got a guardian selection tool. We've got a trustee selection tool. Who's good with dollars and cents? So it helps walk you through when you're selecting those kinds of people. Kim or Barbara's asking where we can find the letter of intent template. You guys now have it. Lisa says, what if you designate the money to go in the ABLE account? I think, no, can't do it because it's more than the $15,000 a year.
It could be more than the $15,000 a year. And there's no, if it's, again, you can only put $15,000 a year in the ABLE. So if any money that you have when you die, I'm assuming that's what you mean by designate. If you die, if you have more than $15,000, it can't get into the ABLE account. Now, if you mean, can you designate the $1,200 stimulus check to the ABLE? Yeah, well, you can take it from there because they're probably going to have some type of account that Social Security already has listed that they're directly depositing their other Social Security money into. And that's just where the stimulus check is going. I mean, there's no choice. You're just going to get it. And if there's no direct deposit for those Social Security checks, you're going to get a physical check in the mail for $1,200 made out to your child, your adult child. That's how it works. You can't designate the stimulus check to go somewhere other than the account that already is receiving the Social Security money. But what you can do is then take that money from that account that gets the Social Security money and just move it from that account to an ABLE account.
I want to make a comment here because I'm saying it because Graylin reminded me of something. Just so you guys know, when I did my own letter of intent, I put that thing off forever. There's always something else I could do, but just allocate just a few hours a day to just knock it out. Most of it is, all right, what's the phone number of my accountant, this person, type in, what's important to me and why it's important to me. Type in what's is important to my child, what kinds of things he needs. It just takes time. Allocate the time to get it done, because I promise you that the peace of mind that you'll have when all said and done is worth it. I was Mr. Procrastinator. If you looked in the dictionary for the word procrastinator, there's a picture of Keith in there. But now that I got it done, I feel a lot better. So I want you guys to remember that.
Well, and Keith, I heard this great statement before about trying to get things done that said, it's really hard to think, oh, I want to read 2,500-page books over the next 20 years. It's like, oh my God, 2,500-page books. Or you can think of it as, I'm going to read 5 pages a day. And if you read 5 pages a day, it sounds a lot easier than 2,500-page books, but you'll still end up reading the same amount. So like Keith said, I don't care if you take 10 minutes and do 3 questions and come back tomorrow and do another 10 minutes. Just do it short bursts of energy at a time, or just keep it up on your computer, right? We all have our computers up nowadays where, if you're working from home, like a lot of people are, if you're working, well, just keep it up on the side, right? And when you have 10 minutes during the day, fill out a couple questions, then go back to your work.
All right. And like I said, we don't have it in as a question, but make sure you put in there on your letter of intent, contact How to Secure the Future. Here's the information. I have access to it. And then God forbid something happens to you, that person will now know who to reach out to for help, because we'll still be doing these things. Kathy is asking, if you have a special needs fund, I guess you mean a special needs trust, don't checking savings go to that trust?
Depends. It could.
Right.
So if you have a will that says your assets go to the special needs trust, then yes, eventually money from the checking and savings accounts will get into the special needs trust.
Okay. Lisa is asking, even in an emergency, if I put my child's name on my account, couldn't that count as their asset? I would say, yeah, right?
Yes. We didn't say put it on there. We didn't say put your child's name on the account. We said take them off the account and put someone else as the beneficiary. Right.
And because you said, and this is, remember guys, this is emergency planning. This is not what we'd tell you in a normal circumstance. But right. So if you do not have a beneficiary listed, the state has the beneficiaries listed for you. So I think But if you call your bank and say, who are my beneficiaries? And you look at your paperwork and it says that A, B, and C person is, what Ryan is saying is take your child off of that and put someone else in there. Is that what you're saying, Ryan?
Yes, put somebody else you trust in there. They're going to get all the money, and then it's going to be their responsibility to take care of your child with your money.
Obviously, it's got a lot of risk, guys, so it's not something we're telling you to do. Our preference is for you to go through the process that what we offered to here a few minutes ago. That will walk you through the right way to do it, to help select the right person.
Yeah. That's only in an emergency, right? If you don't have it done and you want to make sure you protect your child's ability to have government benefits, then they can't have money in their name. So you got to leave it to somebody else to make good decisions.
Right, because as the coronavirus is sort of galvanized, you could be in a situation where you're not able to make decisions for yourself in 4 or 5 days, right? So that's why we're saying here's an emergency. You can do these kinds of things, but in the meantime, keep working on what we've put together for you. It is a comprehensive kind of plan that'll walk you through all the pieces that you need to do in the right way. Let me see what else we got here. Graylin said, what is TOD? POD means transfer on death or payable on death. Yes, Marjorie, you ordered it a few months ago. You still have access to it. Sheree here in Kittery Point. Is ME Maine?
I think so.
Okay. I'm showing my ignorance here. I really did graduate from Berkeley.
Yeah, he did. He's a smart guy.
I have a custodial checking account with my great-grand nephew where his SSI is deposited. Can I change the registration to a POD?
Well, it might be a representative payee account, and that's okay because that account is probably kept under $2,000 anyway, because you're probably using it for him. If it is a true custodial account and there's more than $2,000 in it, then that is going to count as an asset against your grandnephew eventually. So it just depends on how old he is.
You might be able to start getting some of those assets into an ABLE account. So I would look at that. Because remember, you can get an ABLE account even if your state doesn't offer one. I have a question here that was marked to me private, so I'm not going to mention this person's name, and it may have just been an accident to be private, but it's a general question. It says, if I am the rep payee for my son who becomes rep payee, try again, blah, blah, blah. If I am the rep payee for my son, who becomes rep payee if something happens to me, and how is it decided?
That is an awesome question. And that is
I would say your name, but you marked it private.
And that's one of those steps to take when the caregiving baton is passed. So basically, let's say, and we've had this situation happen before. So let's say your child's going to have a guardian, or you're their guardian now, you're the representative payee, and you die. And in your will, you have, their brother or sister, if they have one, becoming the guardian of them. Well, you can't designate who the next representative payee is. You have to instruct, again, great thing to do in your letter of intent, is instruct that next caregiver. You have to make an appointment with the Social Security office, go down in person with the death certificate of the former representative payee and with the relationship that you have to the individual receiving the Social Security benefit, and say, I would like to become their new representative payee. So they have to be approved by Social Security to become the new representative payee, just like you were when you initially were given that ability.
About how long does it take for them to make the new representative payee?
Does not take very long at all.
A couple days, couple weeks.
Yeah, days.
And I thought about something that you said earlier. I meant to bring it up, and I'll get back to the questions in a second, but it pertains to something you said. If someone were to pass during these times right now, aren't the courts closed? So how could you even do the probate stuff?
No, there's some essential people in the court system still working.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Valerie says, can you still offer it? Yes. I'm going to send everybody a link later. Someone's asking, if you're a cancer survivor, should the life insurance be taken out on my former spouse?
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Absolutely. Whoever is the most insurable, that'd be perfect. Yeah. I mean, if you're not insurable anymore, look to the next person, right? Former spouse is great. If they're insurable.
So does that mean that, because I'm curious about, so in her situation, she would insure the life of her ex-husband.
Yep.
Right. But she would make the premium payments, assuming that he's not willing to, but
right.
She would designate who the beneficiary, which would be the special needs trust that we're suggesting.
Eventually.
It would be this emergency thing too. And remember, you guys, I want to make sure this sticks in your head. After this is done, everything we said, forget it. Let's go back.
Well, don't forget everything, but forget disinheriting your child with a disability and giving their money to somebody else to make a decision about.
Right. Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad you clarified that. Lisa asked, can life insurance be directed to the ABLE account? I'll answer that. If it's less than 15,000 potentially, but most life insurance is more than that. Life insurance is not a good place you can put into an ABLE account. So sorry about that. Yes, Pat, I will send it to you. Does the life insurance need to go through a special needs plan? I'm not sure if that means your company or no. You don't have to.
You can do it. You can do it with anybody you want to. I mean, you can certainly reach out to us and we can help you guide through that process. But no, you can do whatever you want to do.
Right. Another private question. Are you available for face-to-face consults? Probably not, but are online with Zoom, some kind of hangout or something like that. I'm sure Ryan can work something out.
Yes, we do those all the time.
And you convicted Donna. She says, yes, she's been spending her time watching Hulu.
So have I, Donna. So have I. I'm guilty as charged as well. Pot calling the kettle black, right?
Mine's Netflix. Netflix. Here is a question, I think, but it just says SSI age 18 and over. I'm not sure what that question is. Is that a statement or a question? Is that when SSI kicks in, or I don't know?
Usually for most families, SSI doesn't kick in until 18 for their child with a disability, because before 18, your child's financial qualifications are based on the parent's financial situation. So once your child turns 18, they're looked at as an independent financial entity when qualifying for items like Medicaid and SSI. So yes, more likely that most families are not going to receive that SSI for their child until their child turns 18.
Okay. All right. Eileen is saying, my son, age 22, gets SSI, but we claim him as a dependent. She says it doesn't appear he will get the check. Do you know something different?
According to 22 hours ago, it looks like he's going to get the check because it said anybody getting SSI.
So be on the lookout for that, Eileen.
So again, everything is so fluid right now. Again, we'll continue to try to keep you updated as we learn more, because we're always watching that piece. And we've had even people who do claim, we had one family who claims their son as a dependent, but their son also does his own tax return. So he's an adult, but he does his own tax return. And because he earns income from working at a movie theater. So he got his check because he did a tax return and it was less than the maximum. And he got all $1,200. So again, it's fluid.
It's fluid, guys. We're doing the best we can with what we know. Someone's asking, what if payee is where my stepson lives? Will they get the check? What do they do with it?
So the representative payee is the person where your child lives. Perfect. So, yep, that check is either going to go to the address of record and be addressed to your child's name, or it's just going to be electronically deposited in that representative payee account if his other check is also electronically deposited. So you have to let them know to watch out for it and let you know.
Lisa is making the statement that agencies have said that money will not count as an asset for 12 months. There's a question mark. We have not heard that. So if that's something you've heard, we haven't heard it yet. But as soon as we do hear something like that, we'll be sure to pass that along to you guys. So I'm not sure which agencies. I know that the ARC of California and others were working on this issue. Yep. So maybe they have come to some resolution on it, but we were not aware of it. So we'll own when we don't know something. Yeah. Which is a lot of owning.
Yeah, well, you know, we try to stay on top of it too.
All right, Valerie's saying the same thing. So apparently there's getting some information. We can't validate that one way or the other. I read that adults claimed as dependents won't get a check. Again, this is very fluid, guys. So yeah. We can't give answers relative to what may or may not happen. We're just talking about what we know at the time. So forgive us for that. Oh, good. So this is something from the IRS website. We have to look at that. Eileen says she saw it on the IRS website. So as we get more information about that, we'll let you guys know about that.
Take a look. Because that's where I was actually reading this morning from.
Yeah,
so I'll go look. We'll see
there's a lot of fluidity. Guardian person, and my son is 18, is on SSI. I claim him as independent. Will he get a stimulus check? I already started the special needs trust.
Good. I'm glad you started a special needs trust, but don't put the stimulus check inside the special needs trust if you do get one, unless it's unless it's called a first party special needs trust. If it's a third party special needs trust, do not put that check to your son in that account.
All right. And you should look at some of our old special needs trust webinars that we've done, and you can have access to that by logging in and looking at some of the webinars. We've done 3 or 4 webinars on special needs trust where we get in depth about that. Mary Ann says that she did check someone's account. He got the payout. So she's transferring to the ABLE account. That's definitely advisable. Let's see. Is there an equivalent to ABLE account in South Africa? So hello, Audrey. I don't know.
I don't know either. That's a great question. I'm going to write that one down.
I met her on YouTube. So hello, Audrey. Good to see you again. Once the ABLE account is set up, does it matter where the money comes from? The answer to that is no, it doesn't really matter. I have one in California, and they have it set up to where I can send, and they can send on my behalf an email to like my brother and sister and my mom. If they want to give my son a gift for Christmas or a birthday, they just send him a link. They can make the deposit directly into his ABLE account. And that way I can access the ABLE account as I need it. Because my son's a little unusual. He doesn't like traditional gifts. You know, he likes to go play basketball. He likes to do things. He's not really into toys or stuff like that. So nobody knows what to get him. Can we withdraw? Patty's asking, can we withdraw cash from SSI cash to get the money out? So she's saying that, can I withdraw cash from SSI? Can I just take the money and put it in my pocket? I think
that would not be advisable. It would be more advisable, because if they ask, and the only reason for that is if they ask for a accounting of what you did with the money in order to get it under $2,000, you have to have some kind of tracking for it, some kind of reason why you put it in your pocket. Was there an expense that you paid for your son or daughter? You know, something that, you know, you paid out of your pocket for them and then they reimbursed you for with that money that you took and transferred to your account. You want to just have some kind of tracking on it. In the event you're ever asked, you might never be asked, right? There's a lot that the government's doing right now. And so, you know, for you to get audited might be a low degree of probability.
Right. Marjorie is asking if you have an ABLE account. I know we're over our hour, guys, but we're getting good information here. We will wrap up as soon as we get through some of these questions. If you already have an ABLE account open, can the transfer of the stimulus check be transferred as soon as it gets deposited? I imagine yes.
Yeah.
Troy is saying, we moved to South Carolina in August. When living in North Carolina, we opened an ABLE account. For now, our daughter, can the stimulus check be deposited to the North Carolina ABLE account? Yep.
No problem. And you don't have to close your North Carolina ABLE account. You can just keep that one and then continue to put money in. It'll work exactly the same way.
Selena's asking, ABLE account, is it true once the parent passes, the state gets the child's money out of that account?
Is there a Medicaid payback? As we've talked about before, for just about every state, California has an exception in there. Yeah.
Yes. So in California, if you're a California resident, obviously,
right,
they don't have the Medicaid payback provision, but other states they do. So I see a lot of comments regarding that whole thing. As soon as we get an answer to that, guys, we'll let you know. But as of right now, we did not have that information that they were not going to include it. But I hope that they didn't. I was referring to my bank accounts, nowhere near $15,000. So you can put up to $15,000, Lisa, into an ABLE account per year. And you can do a little bit more than that if the person who is with the disability has a job. But look at the ABLE account thing. So if it's your personal accounts, yes, you can put up to $15,000 a year into your ABLE account. No problems. And usually your ABLE account administrator will be giving you a running list of how much you've contributed for the current year. They do with mine. Farida says, if someone gets SSA retirement benefits, then stimulus check doesn't affect them?
It wouldn't affect those benefits, but if they have Medicaid, it could affect the Medicaid side of those benefits. But it would not affect their income, right, if they're receiving the benefits from SSA.
All right. Kim's saying letter of intent is helpful. And we did, Kim, address that. She's saying it's a little helpful, but you got to remember to update that. One of the things we're including is once a year, we're going to do an update, clean up, fix, tweak. These are the questions you need to ask to update, because you're right. You need to update your letter of intent on a periodic basis. Maybe in December or January, we'll have that set up. And to ask you the question, but you got to still do the work. I mean, we can't do it for you, but has someone died? Someone got married? Has your circumstances changed? Are you no longer working? All these different things that will help walk you guys through. If I have a special needs trust, do I still need an ABLE account? I'll answer that one, Ryan, because I know. I think you do. And the special needs trust is very restrictive in what you can use it for. The ABLE account is a lot more malleable, meaning that I use mine to say for my sister and brother to deposit money in there so I can take out $50 to buy my son some basketball shoes, whatever. There's nobody checking over. There's none of that kind of stuff. It's a lot easier. But if I have to try to get money from my trustee that's like an act of God sometimes. I mean, they're good, but it's not as easy. So I would argue that yes, you need both of them, and it's inexpensive to have an ABLE account. I think I pay $3 a month to have it. It's not a lot. Let's see. My autistic son only got SSI in the recognition of his disability when he was already past the age for qualifying for an ABLE account. Any ideas if the age limit would change? I heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's on the docket, changing up to age 46, but it hasn't been passed yet.
Okay. Is there a checklist of what you should have outlined for kids? We have been told our daughter doesn't qualify. Lauren, I don't know what you're asking about that. It just says, is there a checklist of what you should have outlined for your kids? Now, I think in our government benefits section within the course, didn't we talk about how to qualify for government benefits and provide a checklist there, Ryan? Do you recall? I haven't looked at that.
I think we have a check. It just depends on which checklist she's thinking about. And again, it's very common. At least we've found this. It's becoming more and more common that that individuals are being denied at 18 the first time they apply. We actually have a person in our office that's all they do is help people with that exact kind of checklist for applying for government benefits, and helps to make sure you have everything put together the right way, because it makes a difference.
Right.
If that's what she's talking about.
All right, let's see. We've got a few more questions, and then we will wrap up. Oh, so just as an FYI, for this is not yours. So I own a piece of real estate, and some drunk driver ran his car, ripped off the water main, flooded the whole place. So anyhow, I got to run, go deal with that in a second. So let's see. I work as a legal guardian for incompetent adults. Would it be better to use a stimulus check to start a pre-need burial plan, or better to open an ABLE account? For my words.
That's it. And you know what? What a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You could do either of those. You could do a prepaid burial if you can get it for $1,200. That's another option. That's great. I'm so glad you brought that up. Absolutely, that's a good option. Is it better or not? I don't know if it's better or worse. Obviously, prepaid funeral or burial arrangements, that money's going to be stuck there. If you put it in an ABLE account, you can still use it for that funeral need when that day arrives, but you could also use it for other stuff before that day arrives as well. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility with that money and the utilization of it over time. But certainly a prepaid burial. That's going to go on our blooper reel. But yes, you could do that.
All right. Hey, Madeline, I see you, and I sent you. Just send me an email, and I'll try to take care. I don't know what problem you're having with that. Kathy, if you go to the registration page after this, you should take you directly to the on-demand places where it has a listing of all of our webinars for the last 2 years at least. So you can access all the ones on Special Needs Trust just by registering there. And Pat, if you paid for the letter of intent, obviously you have access to whatever we're talking about. So if you're having any challenge with that, let me know and I'll get you set up. Okay, guys, I think we're going to be wrapping up in a few.
I love it when Keith uses his speed reading abilities during these webinars. He's like, oh my gosh. Because I think you guys come fast and furious with them questions, and I don't see them. So I just sit here looking like a deer in headlights, just waiting for Keith to ask questions.
No. Valerie provided a link from Disability Scoop regarding the SSI thing. So
awesome. Thank you, Valerie.
I feel comfortable with Disability Scoop. So some of the things relative to that seem like it's in a so it looks like they were successful on that. I do trust the Disability Scoop, but like I said, we had not validated that for ourselves. So Disability Scoop is a good resource.
And what I would say, it doesn't really change very much of the emergency planning, except for and it doesn't change anything on the emergency planning side. On the stimulus check idea, what it changes is you have more time to open up the ABLE account.
Yeah.
So still do that and get it in there.
Without a doubt. And I'm going to pull up the offer one more time for those, and we're going to wrap up, but for those who said they didn't want to link on it to maybe get kicked off the webinar. So I'll just pull it up now. You can stay here and get it if you'd like. $1 for the letter of intent and an extra $2 for the entire course that walks you through beneficiary designation, what is included. It walks you through so much more. It gives you the questions and answers that you can ask an attorney, because that's really important. You hire the wrong attorney, you're going to get an improperly designed special needs trust, which is going to all fall apart when you're no longer here to fix it. And the next caregiver is going to have to try to clean that up. So it's really important that you get the right qualified attorney who knows what they're doing. And just so you know, I had this experience. A lot of times they will give you a generic template. I don't want to say generic, but not as customized as you potentially could have. And I'll give you an example in my circumstance. They wanted to say that my ex-wife and I had the decisions. Well, I said, well, what if I'm not around? Since I'm split up, I didn't want my ex-wife making all the decisions. I wanted somebody from my side of the family to be part of that. So I added not a successor trustee. I forgot what the person's called. on my side, and I have a couple levels down, a couple generations down, who would speak on the behalf of my son if I were no longer here, that is part of my family. So you do have some flexibility. So just when they send it to you, don't think you have to accept it as it is. If something bothers you about it, feel free to talk to them about it. They should be experienced enough to know what they can and cannot do, and keep your situation, so everything's copacetic. Oh, I forgot to pull that up. So let me bring that up again. Anybody have any? Well, anyhow, brought up the offer. If you guys want to get it now, that's fine. I'll also send everybody a link to it. We made it as inexpensive as we could, so you guys have access to it, because it's really important to us that you guys get this planning done. We gave you emergency steps today, but assuming we all make it through, some of the things we would tell you to unentangle and to do it the way that we're suggesting inside the course. So any last words of wisdom that you want to give us, Ryan? Any jokes?
I don't have any jokes. Just, again, just be careful, stay as healthy as you can, and smile a little bit.
Right. Thank you guys all for joining us. We appreciate it, and hope you guys got something good out of it today. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.